Hello, flower friends. This is Jen, and I'm going to talk to you about my easy peasy way to do estimates, to figure out recipes, and that is using base recipe pricing. And basically, like just making this foundational type of recipe of how you make bridal bouquets, how you make compotes, how you make whatever. And with that, taking that base recipe and then tweaking it and molding it to be specific to your situation. So let's just say that we are making a bridal bouquet. We've had episodes where we've talked about foundational blooms and kind of like the design layers that I build recipes within and kind of order product within. And those floral layers or floral kind of elements are a foundational bloom, which is your big bulky bloom that's going to fill up the majority of your kind of size, the shape, really the volume in your bouquet. Then you have transitionary blooms, and transitionary blooms to me are something that is not as big as your, big bodacious bloom that's filling your space, your foundation bloom. This is like a white majolica spray rose, or depending on how you're using it, Lizzie anthus, or some type of clustery or smaller bloom that you're not using as a dancing flower. The third element or layer is a line flower, so like a stock, a larkspur, a delphinium. You could use foxglove, anything that's like, has that nice line that can create movement and shape in your bouquet. Then the next is filler. So that could be Queen Anne's lace, wax flower, baby's breath, a million of those different type of really small clustery. Then you have your dancers, ranunculus, scabiosas, Lizzie anthus, potentially butterfly ranunculus, anything that you're showing off. And when you're putting in your bouquet, you're getting that bounce or movement in your bouquet from that flower. It's usually jetting out 3 to 4 inches, even sometimes. And it helps just give that kind of light and airy feeling, and often will make your bouquets look more expensive. All right, then after that, we have our greenery. That could be, variegated pismosum. It could be ruscus. It could be uh, salal. It could be any type of greenery. Then you have a what I call like a coverage bloom. And I often use coverage blooms in my cages, and I use them often in my compotes. So that could be hydrangeas, carnations that are clustered together, anything that's kind of big and fills space. Then there is the drippy flowers. So that could be anything like some type of vine. I personally love Love and a Puff vine. It is one of my favorites. I also love using amaranthus, hanging amaranthus. Like that is a great drippy, drapey flower. Jasmine vine, absolutely beautiful. So anything passion flower vine that is going to create that drippy kind of movement in your bouquets. And when you kind of just stay within like these layers when you're thinking about it, often foundationally, like a bouquet is going to have, a foundation or a big bloom. It's going to have a coverage bloom, a green, and potentially like a filler flower. Those four blooms could pretty much make any bridal bouquet. And you could even simplify it more and just do roses and take a transition bloom out. I do think that they're more visually interesting. When you want to up level your bouquet a little bit more, I definitely would add a dancer. I think dancers really elevate your bouquet, elevate your work, and are, often more expensive type blooms. So that definitely is elevating the price point. I think you can easily when you're estimating, and that's what I'm talking about, these base recipes. So if I'm building an a la carte flowers program, or if I'm building at starting at pricing, I I feel like so many florists are spinning their wheels, spending so much time and energy on making, a estimate or figuring out pricing, that if you just kind of figured out this foundation of base recipes and base pricing, for one, you could add immense pricing transparency in your business because you have starting at pricing that you can put in a brochure, you can put on your website. Like, you can make a bouquet for this starting at pricing. My starting at pricing is like usually 17 roses for a bridal bouquet, a third-ish to almost a half a bunch, depending on the filler flower. I'm usually in a bridal bouquet going to use 5 transition blooms, and I will use about, depending on if it's Israeli ruscus, I'm using half a bunch, or if it is like variegated pismosum, probably going to use a third of a bunch because it's, especially branchy, and I'm able to get a lot out of that. So if I think of how I easily just chose those transition blooms, that greenery, that filler flower, that big bloom, I can go into that base recipe pricing. For $1.65 can get a very wide range of roses. I can order from my favorite rose farm in Ecuador, Bellevue, and I can get the most beautiful quicksands, Playa Blancas for that. I can get pink expression, candy expression, all of the gardeny-ish look, candlelight roses. And then even less, I can get ocean songs. I can get uh, cool waters. I can get a pink Mondale. Then they also carry pink O'Hare, white O'Hare. So if in my equation I want to use maybe a less expensive, you know, foundation rose, and then maybe use like 3 to 5 of those higher end, I average out my budget to $1.65. I can pretty much, with staying away from David Austin garden roses, easily be in my market around $1.65 for an average. For an event 3 weeks ago, got roses down to 45 and 65 cents. So if I'm budgeting, when I'm budgeting things $1.65, like, I am golden. I easily will have room in my budget. Then I'm looking at my budget for white majolicas. Let's just say that I'm choosing that as my transition bloom. I usually can easily find white majolicas that don't suck for $17.99 for a 10-stem bunch. So if I'm using 5 stems of that, I have 9 divided by 2. So I easily can just say, okay, if I have $18, I'm using $9 of white majolicas. Then filler flower. Let's just say we have a budget depending on what we're using or buying. Let's just say half a bunch so that we are estimating high. So I'll just say that we're buying something for $11.99 because I should be able to get a filler flower from anywhere from $8.99 to $13 to $14.99. So if I use an average, let's just say $12.99 or 13, let's say $13.99. And I'm using half a bunch. So I'm going to budget $7 in my base recipe pricing. So I have my $9 of spray roses. I have my $7, let's just say, of my transition and fillers. So like, we're currently around $16. So then I am going to take my roses and I'm at 28. So then if I add my 17, I think that's what it was. It was 9 plus 7, so 14. Yep, actually 16. Just doing a little math. Okay, so right now I'm at $44.05 of base recipe pricing. Then if I take and add Let's just say for a greenery, I'm going to add $4. That should get me a half a bunch of the majority of greens that I normally use. If I use pistachia, I can sometimes get those beautiful bunches down to like $5 a bunch. So I am at $48. So if I am using that as my foundational recipe and I have $48 of product, I could potentially use less because if my roses are really big and banging, I might not need to use 17. I might not need to use half a bunch of greens. I might not need to use half a bunch of filler, but I estimated high because I would rather estimate a little bit high in my base recipe pricing and make sure that I'm covered and I'm not selling myself short. So if I have $48 of product and I'm going to take that, depending on what your markup structure is, times 3, I'm at $144 if I'm timesing it by 3. If I have 3 times markup, I'm at $144. If I did 4 times markup, obviously I'm going to add another $48 and I'm going to be at $192. So let's just say that we were at 3 times markup. You do you, whatever that is. I'm at $144. I need to add, if I am not getting my vase back, I need to make sure that I'm covering the cost of my vase. If it is a bridesmaid bouquet, I use the Dollar Tree cylinder, so I am budgeting in there. It's $1.25 for me to buy it, so I double that cost, so I would add in $2.50. If it is, I usually use for my bride bouquets 5-inch wide, 8-inch tall cylinder vases, and those cost $7. So I need to make sure that I'm doubling the cost of my supplies. Some people triple them. It's again, you do you. Everybody has a different way to run their business and different profit margins. So I'm going to add $14. Okay, so I'm at $158. Then I need to add my labor percentage. One of the biggest things that I run into is often florists think the labor charge is the setup and delivery charge. That is completely separate. This labor charge is for the labor to process those flowers, to make your bridal bouquet, to change the water and trim the stems of that bridal bouquet before you go to deliver it. So with $158, I'm going to just guess you have a labor percentage of 25%. I have seen florists, with all the florists I've coached, go from 20 all the way to 50% labor. So let's just say 25. So I'm going to times my 158 times 1.25 because that is adding my 25%. So that gets me to 197 and 50, oh shit, and 50 pennies. Yep, I'm sorry. I was re-looking at it and it is 197.50. So if I was doing 197.50, I could just quote 197.50 as my base recipe pricing. If you probably should add in a little bit of money for ribbon and pins. So I think we could just make this $199 to make it easy. So your base recipe price is $199. That means that you can spend $44 on product, or $48, sorry, $48 on product, and you can spend $7 on your vase, and let's just say $1.50 or whatever on ribbon. And so as long as you are picking blooms within that budget, that will make your bridal bouquet like your standard issue bridal bouquet, that is your base recipe pricing and your base recipe flowers. Now here's where this makes quoting recipes very easy. I am not a person who likes to reinvent the wheel, reinvent the recipe, reinvent the type of stuff that I'm making all the time. Reinvention is time consuming, from a creation standpoint, from a managing a team standpoint, because you're having to teach them how to do new things, and from a standpoint of like building these recipes and estimates. So I kind of make things similar to each other, but maybe I'm switching out a few things or adding a few things. So if I was doing an estimate and somebody showed me a bouquet that's got all of these different roses in it, but then has stock, and then has Queen Anne's lace, and then has ranunculus. Okay, so if I'm adding stock, I might not need 17 roses. So I would probably go down to, let's just say 15 roses. So I take off, it is, I believe, 230 because I'm taking off 2 roses. But now, so this is how I usually do it. I got my $48 a product. I'm going to take away a couple roses. So if I take away my 230 for my 2 roses, yep, I think that is right. Okay, I'm at $45.77. Then stock right now is $14.99 a bunch. I would at least add for a bridesmaid 3 stems, for a bride 5. Because otherwise it just looks weird to me. I'm just saying. So if it's $14.99, I need to add, if I'm using 5 stems, I need to add $7.50 in product to my base recipe. Okay, so now I'm at $53.20. My Queen Anne's lace, I already got my filler flower built in. I already got white majolicas that would look beautiful in this bouquet already built in. Let's just say that this, also had ranunculus dancing. So then I'm going to add my ranunculus. I'm going to add half a stem or half a bunch. And my ranunculus right now, last time I bought them, were $20. If I am going to be kind of in the peak of summer when I'm estimating this, maybe I want to just say 25. So if I'm adding half a bunch, I'm going to add $12.50. So right now our product cost is at $65.70. Then let's just say that there is 3 ball dahlias in this. And it is in September, so I'm not afraid of getting ball dahlias. And plus, you guys, I am going to grow so many dahlias on my new farm. I'm so excited. I have ordered so many dahlias. It is going to be crazy. So excited. So $65.70, we're going to add some ball dahlias. But again, like I'm thinking, am I going to still need 15 roses? Let's just say that this bouquet picture is big and banging. So we're going to just leave the rose count alone. We might not need to use it, but at least we've accounted for it. And we're going to add 3 ball dahlias. I know that I can get 3 ball dahlias for about $3.50 a piece. So I am going to add $10.50 in ball dahlias because I just want a little pop in there. So I have $76 in product right now. So if I take $76 and I times it by my 3, we got $228.60. We're going to add our $14 for our vase. That is $7, and we've doubled it. $242.60 is our product cost with our markup, and our vase with our markup. Then we are going to times that by our 25% labor. So we come up with $303.25. So for this bouquet with our, premium flowers and with our vase and all the goodies and our markup and our labor, we're at $303.25. We need to add a little bit for ribbon. So I would say if we said $305, we would be with our proper markup. Let's just say like you could do $315 if you wanted to, or if you want to build in a little bit extra for, something special that you might run into in the cooler, or potentially if you want to even say $299, you're not going to be crazy far off, but you don't want to make a habit out of that. I always like to use numbers that are going to be compelling. So I might even say, okay, we're going to do 4 ranunculus, and then that would help us get to $299. And you can use them strategically so they're not even going to know. And when you do those kind of shifts, I do a lot of those shifts on my final order when I'm figuring out all of my bulk packages that I'm going to need. And all of a sudden, I'm like 3 stems short. I always want to have extra stems for breakage. You should always make sure, especially when you're doing a full wedding, that you're at least ordering, I would say, an extra bunch. But if I need like 2, I probably have enough covered with getting just that extra bunch and covering those 2. But let's just say I wanted to make sure I had like 4 extra blooms or 5, and I'm at 6 or 7 that are needed out of that bunch. I probably would maybe cut a ranunculus somewhere in the equation so I could help make sure that I'm not going in and spending another, $25 on an extra bunch of ranunculus, but everything still looks good. So I used my base recipe, and I easily was able to figure out by minusing and plussing to my base recipe, because I know what my base recipe is. And I never am like going crazy unless a bride is giving me a picture. But then I can just go, okay, that looks like it is really, really stock heavy. So I probably, for girth in my bouquet, am going to have 5 roses at least, but then I'm probably going to have 15 stems of stock. So I'm still easily starting with that foundation. Okay, I got my 5 roses, so I need to take 12 roses away from my base recipe. I'm still going to probably use the same greenery, the same filler flower, the same transition blooms. I'm just adding after I've subtracted my roses and I've added my line flower at 15 stems. So if it's $14.99, I'm going to add $22.50 in stock to my base recipe after I've taken away 12 roses. And then I still got the same thing. I've got a completely different look to my bouquet because I've added just a ton of line flower. And you can do wonderful, wonderful things with designing with stock. It is such a versatile flower that, 15 of it is going to be a very nice bouquet, especially if you get your roses kind of hunkered down in there. You have a nice spiral technique. And if you really want to create space in that, a little chicken wire egg goes a long way in making space in your bouquet. So that is just like a base recipe kind of foundation that I could use in my estimates. I can use it in my pricing online. I could use it for my pricing for a la carte. Let's say we use this exact same kind of equation going into an a la carte. Then let's just say we have a client that wants bright and cheery palette. I easily can find 2 shades of bright and cheery roses. Then for my filler flower, I could use a really pretty wax flower, like that really nice purple wax flower, with a hot pink and a orange crush rose. Then I could potentially add for my greenery. There's a bunch of greeneries that have like a little yellow on them. I could add that, and like that is a really fun bouquet. I could use daisy feverfew if I wanted to create a more of a kind of summer sunshine, bright and cheery. Sometimes people share with me an inspiration photo. Otherwise, I'm just doing what I want with a la carte. I also could do 3 different. I could do a pink expression rose. I could do a hot lady rose. I could do an orange gerbera. I can get a Gerando gerb for $1.65. So I'm just working with, I'm going to have 17 stems and I'm dividing. So I'm going to have 4 roses of pink expression, 4 orange crush, and then I'm going to have 5 no, that would be, if we were doing 17, I'm going to use 6, 6, and 5. So 6 gerbs, 6 of one color rose, and 5 of another color rose. And of course, I play around with my global recipe and my bulk order, that if for some reason I'm looking and I have to buy 10 stems of gerbs, I want to make sure, if I'm buying 25 stems of roses, I want to make sure that I'm utilizing and still having a little bit extra and getting to that end result of staying within that budget. So when you have this base recipe, You could, oh, and I didn't add a transition flower. So I could add a yellow babe spray rose. I could add Crispidia. Crispidia is smaller than a big bloom, but not as small as Daisy Feverfew. That would be an adorable. I could use yarrow. I could use, something just really bright and cheery that still fits within that budget. I have $7 and half a bunch that I can use for my budget. That would all work for me to do a bright and cheery. Let's just say we were doing dark and moody color palette. I could use a red Paris rose. I could use a roseberry rose, my favorite raspberry colored rose. So beautiful and looks so good with dark and moody. I could add some thistle. That could be my transition flower because thistle, if I get like a supernova, will still fit in a half a bunch, $7, and adds a nice deep blue. Then I could, for my greenery, I could add agonis. I could add some beautiful dark colored agonis. It would be a little bit higher than a normal, like, I think we budgeted for $5, but I'm going to use so much less of that than I would a single stem like Israeli ruscus or Italian ruscus. So that agonis is going to, even though it's going to be more, I think the last time I bought agonis, it was $17.99 a bunch. But I am going to use like 2 stems because it breaks apart into a million pieces. So I got that. So if I have a transition bloom, I need a filler flower. What would be a good dark and moody filler flower? I potentially could get some yarrow. That would be beautiful in a red or colored like that. I could get, it would be a little bit more expensive. So again, I'm weighing out the budget. Some calcinia potentially would be really pretty. I could put, if there's blackberries or, something really dark, hypericum berries. I'm not a fan, but they would work as a filler-ish type bloom and within the budget. So you can use so many different options as long as you're picking from a bucket and picking from that bucket within that budget. And if you're overspending here, then you need to underspend. So I could potentially find some roseberry roses. I might be able to get them for $1.29. So that still means I got $48 in totality that I can spend on this. So then I'm just looking at how can I tweak the budget to get to this, really the end goal of $48 in product. And once you've started to play with this base recipe, you will be able to do estimates so fast because you look at a picture, you're like, you know what? My base recipe, I'm going to switch out like, or I'm going to add this. And it's so fast, so simple. You can do this with compotes. You can do this with bud vases. I mean, if you're using a premium bloom, you're just swapping out that premium bloom price. Fast, easy, and going to speed up your recipes, going to help you add pricing transparency in your business, which to me is invaluable, and you're going to feel confident. I can easily have discussions with people that they are way off their rocker from a pricing perspective because I can easily tell them, hey, you're telling me that you want all these things. So I was just kind of going through the math. Like, it's florist math. It's easy. If I just say, like throwing out a really, just round numbers, you can use your starting at pricing. Let's just say you're at like $225 for a bride bouquet. Let's just say $125 for each bridesmaid. You have 10, so there's $12.50 just in bridesmaids. Then let's add your bouquet at $225. So we are at $275, $375, $475. So basically $1,500, and we've just got bouquets. Then you said you want personal flowers. This is another great thing. Flat rate pricing on personal flowers. You can say I'm at $20, $25, whatever it is for whatever item. Flat rate on petals. You can easily just say, okay, you need 10 of this, 5 of this. That gets us to this price. So we're now at, let's just say $1,850. You're telling me you want a ceremony. I have flat rate pricing for cages. I can do a very simple cage for 225. I pretty much could do a really simple ass cage for 175. So if I wanted to say $225 per cage, and in my mind, I'm not telling them 225 a cage. In my mind, I see 3 cages plus a mini cage. So then I can just go, okay, there's 3 cages, 2, 4, 6, 75, and then I'm going to add 150 for the smaller cage. So if I'm at um 675 plus my little cake, like, then we're just saying, well, I mean, really rough, if I'm saying, like, even $800 for the ceremony, we're already at 2,500, and that's not with having it set up, the taxes, if you need me to tear anything down, and I think you mentioned you need 20 tables. And so, like, 20 tables, my least expensive option for centerpieces is $55 for bud vases. And they're absolutely beautiful. But if I'm just using that base number and figuring out $55 times 20, I mean, that's $1,100 just for your centerpieces. And you're telling me that you have a $3,000 budget. So before I set up and deliver, potentially tear down and tax, we're already $800 over your budget before we add any of those costs. So, like, I would much rather have that discussion when I am face to face on Zoom, because I can get them to reason. I can get them to make concessions. I can get them to tell me that the ceremony piece can be half as cool as the picture that they gave me, or that they're going to go get some lame ass candles for half their tables. And so I only need to worry about 10. Whatever it is, it's so much easier to have that conversation. And that's why this base recipe based kind of pricing can come into play and make you the hero, because you're the only rational person who could have a very candid conversation about pricing without, like, think of it when you're going to buy a car. And I know I always bring this parallel in because I sold cars for so long, but it's so relevant. There isn't pricing out there for flowers like there is vehicles. But you have a way easier time when somebody's coming in and just telling you, like, here is this car and this is what your payment would be with all of these things, including your trade-in. Like, having that discussion like there, instead of, hey, let me go to my manager and get all these pricing and things like that. Like, that never feels good. And you lose your leverage. You lose that advantage of just being able to really have a candid conversation in real life. Because afterwards, when they get your quote and they can't afford it, and then they never reply to you because their tail is tucked between their legs, that is not a win for you if you never hear from them. Yes, sometimes those conversations suck. Sometimes they are uncomfortable. I don't mind uncomfortable, so I would rather us be uncomfortable now than me be uncomfortable later when they don't respond to me. I, like, get one person a year that ghosts me. It's normally because I thought they were assholes and I didn't really like them, and I probably took too long to get their estimate because I did that purposefully. I probably shouldn't even got to the point of meeting with them, but there's something that didn't pick up on my radar, but it picked up when I met with them, and I'm like, this person is not my human, and ugh, not my favorite. Like, any of those conversations, I if I feel that way, I'm probably intentionally going to screw up and not try to book their wedding because it doesn't feel good. So having those frank and open and honest conversations right away are going to save you so much heartache in the end. I hope this was helpful. I feel like this base recipe, we were just training on this in the Floral CEO Mastermind, and next month we're actually going to make base recipe pricing for everyone in the mastermind so that they can go in, and if you like designing with other stuff, like, you do you. Whatever it is, you can still have a base recipe. You can still have a foundation of where to start so that you are not starting at scratch every single time. If you need extra support, the Floral CEO Mastermind is the place to be. I swear, like I mean, I talk about this all the time because I fucking love this container. I wish I had something like this when I was struggling and not making money, and I was struggling and not feeling like I had any community. I mean, we have, and I'm just throwing out one of my new faves. Like, she is hilarious. Like, these girls in there are so amazing. They they're so kind and so thoughtful, and, like, I just didn't even know that that existed, but I knew it could. And so this is also, I'm putting this out there as I am this week, like, making so many dreams in my life happen. Whatever you think, it can happen. You can wish whatever you want in your business, in your life, into existence, and this space is just gonna be there to support you. Like, I am going in about a week and a half, in 15 days. The Minnesota Floral Collective is having the 4th event, and I was reflecting on that because I'm planning out details. We're gonna have a Flower Friends friendship bracelet bar, and I was getting things delivered for it, and I was thinking about, like, when I dreamt about this, this moment, these events, having these events, and I was thinking about, like, how big that felt, and I'm like, "This is gonna just be a fucking Sunday of me hanging out with cool people, and me helping educate people to have this, like, business that can make them money and be inspiring, and they can have a life in addition that they love and not be running around like a strung out crack addict, like, that has no energy, no space for anything because you're tapped out. Like, there is so much more than that, and so this event was just a reminder that, like, you could dream so big and it can happen because so many of those big things are happening to me, and I see the girls in my mastermind, and it's happening for them, and I believe in you. If you don't have somebody that believes in you, I swear I will believe in you like no other, and if you don't have the tools, I will teach you. I will teach you how to do this. Like, I will teach you how to have hard conversations. I will teach you how to love your business again. I will support you in a way that is just, I had one of my mastermind girls, she was like, "Jenny, you're the first person who's really, really believed in me." And I was like, almost lost it because I love her so much. And like every time I see her, I just, because she has flown, she's got on airplanes to spend time with me and come to my workshops. And every time I see her, like, I do believe in her so much. And like, I have seen that momentum, that push, because I have it with my husband. Like, he believes in me, you guys, like, so much. And whenever I see somebody that's struggling in their business, I'm like, what is your support? Do you have somebody who believes in you? Because you have to have that. You have to have that support that just like this person's like, you're unstoppable. Your success is inevitable. I believe in you so much and I am going to support you. You need that person. And if you don't have that person, I will teach you how to train those people around you to do that, or how to have hard conversations that this isn't working for you anymore, which is really sucks. But your success is inevitable and you need to set your life up so that inevitability happens. Thank you so much for listening, flower friends. Thank you so much for supporting me and listening to this podcast. I am the geek who looks at downloads and like just feels like warm in my heart knowing that people are listening and I am hopefully impacting you in a positive way, that you can see what I know is so true, that you can have so much more than you have right now. And it's just waiting for you to go get it. Thank you so much for listening, flower friend, and you have an amazing flower filled week.